Have you ever found yourself trying to convince someone of something completely obvious, but even with all the right arguments, they just won't budge? Whether it's during a sale, a negotiation, or even a casual conversation, the frustration is the same. You explain, you reason, you lay out the facts, and nothing changes. The truth is, the problem often isn't what you say, it's how the other person's brain processes it. And that's where mental triggers come into play. A lot of people think persuasion is all about logic. But in real life, logic rarely drives decisions. The human brain makes choices based on emotion, patterns, and unconscious shortcuts. If you don't understand this hidden logic, it's tough to consistently influence outcomes. Whether you work in marketing, sales, management, or are a psychology student, mastering mental triggers can completely transform how you communicate, and, more importantly, how you influence decisions. In this video, I'll show you exactly how the most powerful mental triggers work, the same ones used in the world's most effective persuasion strategies. You'll learn how to apply them in your day-to-day life in an ethical, strategic way that actually gets results. And if your goal is to influence without coming off as manipulative, you're in the right place. So buckle up, what you're about to learn will change the way you look at communication. And to make sure you don't miss any key insights, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who wants to master the art of influence. Now that you understand the core problem, it's time to uncover what mental triggers actually are, and why they work so well, even without us realizing it. Mental triggers are stimuli that influence our decisions automatically and unconsciously. They don't ask for permission, and they don't explain themselves. They just work. Ever clicked on a "last units left" button? Or picked a busy restaurant just because it was packed? That wasn't a coincidence, that was a mental trigger at play. These shortcuts are our brain's way of saving energy and speeding up decisions, especially under pressure or when there are too many options. Psychologists call this cognitive efficiency. Instead of analyzing every choice rationally, the brain activates pre-existing patterns to make decisions. Nobel Prize winner Daniel Kahneman described this through two systems of thinking: System 1, fast, intuitive, emotional, and System 2, slow, rational, analytical. Mental triggers operate in System 1, which dominates most of the decisions we make throughout the day. In practice, this means most of our choices are less logical than we think. The most successful marketing campaigns, leadership styles, and even personal interactions all use this knowledge to communicate more effectively. It's not about manipulation, it's about aligning your message with how the human brain actually works. And the best part? Mental triggers apply to almost any context. From pitching a sale to presenting a project, from approaching a client to writing a social media post, knowing which trigger to use can be the difference between being ignored or being heard. Now that you know what mental triggers are and why they're so effective, let's dive into the first one, the authority trigger, and discover how it can boost your influence before you even say a word. The authority trigger is one of the most powerful tools in persuasion. It's built on a simple principle: people tend to follow those they see as experts or leaders. Instead of questioning or analyzing, the brain offers less resistance when a message comes from someone who seems to know what they're talking about. This behavior was proven in one of psychology's most famous experiments, Stanley Milgram's study in the 1960s. In it, participants were instructed to give electric shocks, fake ones, though they didn't know that, to others, simply because a man in a lab coat, a symbol of authority, told them to. Even though they were visibly uncomfortable, most participants obeyed. Why? Because the presence of authority lowered their sense of personal responsibility. In real life, authority shows up in small details: a professional title, the way you dress, how you present yourself online. A well-written LinkedIn post with a confident opinion might earn more respect than a long string of technical facts. Your tone, posture, and vocabulary, all of it communicates authority, even unintentionally. But remember, authority is not the same as arrogance. True authority is built on clarity, consistency, and the ability to deliver real value. It becomes even more powerful when combined with empathy and openness. The key is to appear confident without becoming unapproachable. Now that you understand the power of authority in decision-making, let's move to a trigger that speeds up that process, especially when time is short and desire is high: the scarcity trigger. Get ready to learn why rare things feel so irresistible. Few things spark action faster than the fear of missing out. That's what the scarcity trigger does: it creates the perception that something is limited in time, quantity, or access. And when something seems rare, our brain automatically assumes it's more valuable, even if nothing has actually changed. This reaction comes from our survival instincts. In the past, hesitation in the face of rare opportunities, like food or shelter, could mean being left behind. Today, that same instinct kicks in when we see phrases like, "only 3 spots left, offer ends today," or "limited time deal." It's like our brain screams, "act now, or miss out forever." But scarcity isn't just for sales. It works in negotiations. "This deal is only valid this quarter." In professional relationships, "I'm only taking new clients this week," or in branding, "This content is for members only." The trick is to use scarcity honestly and in context. The most common mistake: faking scarcity. When people realize that what's being marketed as limited is always available, the effect disappears, and so does your credibility. Scarcity needs to feel legitimate to be effective. And when used wisely, it creates a sense of urgency that turns intention into action. Now that you understand how scarcity speeds up decision-making, let's dive into a trigger that works through social validation, and often influences us without us even noticing: the social proof trigger. Imagine you're in a new city and have to choose between 2 restaurants. One is empty, the other is packed. Which one do you pick? Most people will choose the busy one. That decision isn't rational, it's instinctive. Social proof kicks in exactly in moments like this. When we're unsure of what to do, we look to others as a compass for our choices. Social proof is any form of external validation that signals trustworthiness, popularity, or approval. Online reviews, follower counts, positive comments, client testimonials, feedback videos, all of these build the perception of value and safety. Our brain says, if other people chose this, it must be good. In sales, social proof can double conversion rates. On social media, it boosts engagement. In meetings, it can be the deciding factor between accepting a proposal or holding back. That's why major brands proudly display client logos, awards, or stats like, over 10,000 satisfied customers. Each piece reinforces a sense of belonging and trust. But here's the catch: social proof must be authentic and relevant. Faking testimonials, inflating numbers, or using vague claims can backfire quickly. Today's audience can spot inauthenticity from a mile away. The best way to apply this trigger: let your customers and community speak for you. And if social proof persuades because others approve, the next trigger works because of an invisible emotional debt we all feel, often without realizing it. Let's talk about the reciprocity trigger, and how it can open doors without pushing. Have you ever received a freebie from a brand, maybe a small gift, a thoughtful message, or valuable content, and felt like giving something back? That's not a coincidence. That's reciprocity at work. When someone gives us something of value, we feel an almost automatic desire to return the favor. Not because of pressure, but because of a natural need to restore balance. Reciprocity is one of the hidden foundations of human relationships. From childhood, we're taught that it's polite to give back. Our brains adopt this as a behavioral pattern. In persuasive communication, this means that offering something first, with no strings attached, creates fertile ground for someone to say yes later on. Brands that give away valuable content, free samples, intro consultations, or even just genuine attention, activate this trigger brilliantly. The recipient feels they've already received value, and that builds emotional commitment. So when the actual offer arrives, it's no longer from a stranger, but from someone who's already given something meaningful. Still, there's a fine line. If the gift feels too calculated or conditional, it can have the opposite effect. The key is authenticity and timing. What you give should be genuinely useful, not bait in disguise. Giving without expecting an immediate return is what truly activates reciprocity. Now that you've explored these powerful mental triggers individually, it's time to discover how to combine them. In the next section, you'll learn how to strategically weave together authority, scarcity, social proof, and reciprocity in persuasive communication, and maximize your influence. So far, you've seen how each trigger works on its own. But the real power lies in combining them strategically. Persuasive communication isn't about using just one tool, it's about crafting an experience that guides someone through an emotional, logical, and social journey all at once. Blending authority, scarcity, social proof, and reciprocity can turn a simple message into an almost irresistible offer. Let's look at a real-world example. Imagine the launch of an online course. The brand starts by offering free, high-value content, reciprocity. Then, it shares testimonials from past students and success stats, social proof. Next, it presents the instructor as a trusted expert in the field, authority. Finally, it announces that enrollment closes Sunday, with limited spots available, scarcity. This sequence activates multiple decision-making centers in the brain, without ever feeling forced. The secret? Planning. Before creating any piece of communication, whether a post, a pitch, or a full campaign, ask yourself, what feeling do I want to create? What objections do I need to break? What kind of trust do I want to build? With these answers in hand, you can choose the right triggers for the moment. Here's another tip: use different triggers at different points in your customer's journey. Reciprocity and social proof work well at the top of the funnel, while authority and scarcity become more powerful when it's time to make a final decision. This isn't about manipulation, it's about aligning your message with how human decision-making actually works. When you understand these patterns and use them ethically, the result is more connection, more trust, and more conversions. Now that you've got all the pieces, it's time to reflect, apply, and transform your approach to influence. Let's head into the final recap. Let's recap. You've learned that the human brain doesn't make decisions based purely on logic, it relies on unconscious shortcuts called mental triggers. You saw how authority builds trust, how scarcity speeds up decisions, how social proof validates choices, and how reciprocity creates a natural urge to give back. But more than just understanding these triggers, you now know how to apply them together, strategically and ethically. And most importantly, you realize that persuasion isn't about pushing, pressuring, or manipulating. It's about building a bridge between your message and the way people actually make decisions. It's about using psychology consciously to communicate with more clarity, impact, and direction. Whether you're selling, leading, pitching ideas, or building authority, mental triggers are tools that give you an edge. Now comes the real challenge: apply what you've learned. Pick one trigger and use it today, in a social post, a meeting, or a conversation with a client. Watch the reaction. Analyze the impact. And over time, let this become a natural part of your communication style. If this video helped you in any way, now's a great time to give back with a simple gesture: like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs to learn how to influence more consciously. That helps me keep creating content like this, and brings this knowledge to even more people. And remember, those who master the triggers, master decisions. Use them wisely. Use them with purpose. And get ready to see the impact in everything you do, starting now.